Well, hello, everyone.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
We have here a very talented person, a very knowledgeable person.
I would say so.
Uh,
Oh,
so
And,
my,
Nick's
and
Turkish.
do you want me to introduce
Looks like
myself?
yeah, please
sure,
do.
sure,
All
please.
right.
Yes. So, Nick
Um,
Sorkish, who are you and where are you from? And why are you even here today? Tell us.
Even, yeah.
Ah,
so my name is Nixorikish. I go by Nixo because nobody knows how to pronounce Nixorikish, and I did a really poor job of choosing a username when I did. I am now the executive director of Eastacre, and I am doing all kinds of things for Eastacre, mostly like organizational things, legal things, clearing my throat. And I host some of the community calls over there. I got involved in Eastacre by getting interested in staking. And when I first got interested in staking, I started heading over to the Eastacre subreddit because I am a Reddit addict, like a lot of ETH financiers. And I started helping people. I got a lot of help on how to set up a validator. And so once my validator was set up, I started helping other people. And then eventually, I guess I was so annoying that they asked me to become a moderator. And after that, everything is history because I just started helping more and more, and nobody ever stopped me.
Very nice.
awesome. So, we have a lot to talk to you about today. So, no, we just had EthDenver, this huge event. I guess what it's considered the largest Ethereum crypto event in the world, or whatever tagline that they throw on there. And of course, you were a major participant. You were even able to go on stage and you were part of the withdrawals panel. So I think we can talk about that a little bit, but a little bit later. I think first, maybe we just want to talk about just really quick, what is eStaker and what does it do for the community?
So eStaker is a unbiased platform where people can go get help on staking. They can go there for troubleshooting help. They can go there for philosophical discussions on anything staking related, like MEV, or just find a staking community. It's mostly about supporting solo stakers because eStaker's mission is to decentralize the beacon chain as much as it can, and solo stakers do the best for decentralizing the beacon chain. But eStaker also helps anyone who wants to stake because solo staking does have a high barrier, a high technological and financial barrier. So we help anybody who wants to stake in any way, and we try to find the most appropriate way for them to stake that contributes to the health of the beacon chain.
Yeah, seems good. It's what is the tagline for them? It's welcoming first, knowledgeable second.
Welcoming first, knowledgeable second. So
Yes.
that's actually part of the reason why I got so involved in that community, because Reddit is kind of a cesspool. People
Oh
can be
goodness,
really
yeah.
mean. Yeah, people can be really mean on Reddit. The biggest subreddits that I were involved in were like gardening subreddits before that, because everybody's really nice in gardening subreddits. And I found that people in eFinance and eStaker are super nice. And whenever somebody is kind of like gatekeepy, like if you go in there, a lot of the times, like people really familiar with tech things get a little condescending when you ask obvious questions because it doesn't seem so obvious to them, which is a bummer. So anytime anybody does that in eStaker, their comment gets removed. They usually get reminded, hey, like we want more solo stakers to be here, so we are going to be as nice as possible to try to get people comfortable in this scenario, because nobody wants to put up 32 ETH in a place that they feel the community is hostile.
Right. Now, on that, do you need 32 ETH to be a part of Staker?
You need 32 ETH to solo stake. Solo staking is the barest way that you can stake, but you don't need 32 ETH to participate in staking. Like you can run a validator with some protocols, including Rocket Pool right now, Stakewise soon, with as little as 16, and soon it's going to be 8 ETH. And you can also stake in ways that are pooled staking. So you can basically non-custodially have someone handle your ETH in a way that gives you the returns, and they take a commission on those returns, but you still are in control of the keys, and you start earning staking rewards, and you're a staker.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
that's how I stake. I have our ETH from Rocket Pool. That's like how I end up doing it, because I don't have enough collateral to actually run a validator myself. So that allows me to still get staking rewards without having to actually be like the custodian of a validator. And
Yeah,
that's and that's how I participate in the EthStaker community, basically.
Yeah, and I find that the most valuable additions to the EthStaker community are literally just the community. It's people going in there and having discussions on how staking should work, how staking does work right now, increasing the literacy of people on staking. Because solo stakers, people who have 32 ETH, people who are technologically savvy, that is such a small subset of the population. And so the more people who are involved, the more people who are driving the conversation forward on what staking should look like, how it should be fair, the better we are off as a community.
Yep. And so I actually kind of want to go into like community involvement that you were having at EthDenver. So I alluded to it a little earlier, but there was an EthStaker gathering that took place at Improper City Restaurant Bar,
Yeah.
whatever. I want to talk about that a little bit, because I was able to attend and it was popping off. It was fun. I got to talk to a whole bunch of people about whether it be staking, what they were building for staking, or just what they were doing in general in Web3. But you organized it, so I'll let you talk about it.
It went so well. We were so happy with how it went. We first made sure that solo stakers got invitations to that. So the way that we sold tickets for that, actually, we wanted to do a Web3 way. We saw a lot of people doing EthDenver ticketing with Eventbrite, but I feel like if you're gonna do the Web3 thing, you gotta walk the walk. So we sold tickets by selling a POAP.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of an experimental thing, because POAP right now is like deciding what POAPs are appropriate for it. And this isn't a really well-trekked use case. And so they contacted us about it, and they were like, all right, we like this. Let's see how it goes. There wasn't a very good way for people to prove when they got there that they owned the POAP. So we just had them like show their POAP app. Some people, my favorite person who came up goes, I know this is really boomer of me. And then he pulls out a piece of paper and goes, but I printed my POAP.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I loved it. We did explore looking at WeLook a little bit. WeLook will let you like verify the existence of an NFT, but their infrastructure was a little complicated to use and confusing, and like the two-step process wasn't good UX. And so we just decided, you know what, people can be honest at the door, and if they own it, then they can come in, and if they don't own it, we'll ask them to buy it, and if they lie about it, we're not gonna check anything. It worked out really well. People who came to the door and never heard of the POAP were like, oh, I can buy it right now. No, it's fine, I'll buy it right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we really loved it. I mean, the staking community in general is so tight knit and focused on values that there aren't going to be a whole lot of people who are like trying to worm their way out of $15 for
Well, and
a
it's
bunch
a little
of free
different
drinks.
IRL, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like when you're looking at the physical person that is behind
Yeah.
the keyboard, typically,
Yeah.
it's a little
It's
hard
really,
to
it's
scam.
really easy to scam people on the internet. It's really hard to do it face to face.
Absolutely.
But no, I had a great time at that gathering. What were some of the conversations that you were able to have during that, and like, how was your overall experience with it?
So the first people who showed up, I was really stoked. Do you guys know the protocol, the Ethereum Protocol Fellowship?
I'm not familiar.
Oh goodness!
Personally.
If you talk about it, maybe it'll ring a bell.
Okay, so the Ethereum Protocol Fellowship is a fellowship that is being run by the Ethereum Foundation, and it's basically them trying to onboard more developers into Ethereum. And so they pair them up with mentors. They give them a lot of resources. They have office hours. They help them with a project. and they get a stipend for it. Some people get a stipend, and if you don't get a stipend, you can still permissionlessly participate in the program, because they make all their resources available, and you can even get paired up with a mentor if you don't have a stipend. So it's a really amazing program, and it ends up churning out amazing developers. And so the first people who showed up were Danny Ryan with a bunch of his Ethereum Protocol Fellowship people, because I think they just finished, one of the cohorts just finished like this week or last week. So I got to hear all of these new developers being onboarded talking about their projects, which was
Wild.
really cool. But then I got roped into putting the wristbands on people. And so I was running around with it like a chicken with my head cut off after that.
All hands on deck.
Yeah. Yeah. But we had developers show up. We had client devs show up. We had a lot of liquid staking protocol people show up. So we had we had a lot of the Rockable community. We had Lido, we had Stakewise. We had now I can't even remember the name of that protocol. Anyway, we had a lot of liquid staking protocols there. Ended up being Stater came. Yeah, so it was really good. I kept walking from person to person or from like group to group, and I loved how much of the conversation was technical, values based, and really deep in the weeds.
Yeah, and even just, here's value proposition for what we're doing. Just being able to hear what people are building, what their ideas are, and what they can do next in this space. It was lots of interesting conversations. I was there for like 3.5 hours, and I was there with my lovely fiance, and eventually she was like, "Oh, you've talked to so many people here. Are you still trying to talk to people?" And I'm like, "Okay, I guess I've been here for a while. It's time to."
It's hard to leave when it's like
is
the most
hard to
important.
leave.
It's the most important people in the ecosystem. It was so exciting. It's so exciting to be there. And like, Sassel was there for like 2 hours. And so like
Poet people too. We're also there hanging out. So it was fun getting to see them again.
That's
or
cool.
seeing them in person for the first time. So
I think it's one of the first times that I've seen a POAP for an event get distributed by Patricio himself, walking around with the IYK disc.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see here. What are some other stuff that's going on? I actually want to talk to you a little bit about sort of like this withdrawals panel, and sort of coupled in with that. Withdrawals are a big thing that is about to happen with staking with the Shanghai update. I kind of want you to give us the rundown on that, sort of educate us a little bit on what is the Shanghai update, and even tell us about that withdrawal panel that you were on.
For sure. So the merge happened last
September.
Yeah, September 15th. And what the merge did is it basically took a beta version of the beacon chain, which is the consensus layer, and the execution layer where all the transactions were happening, and it merged them together to be one functioning system.
Mm-hmm.
And that system includes the validators that had been running but not processing transactions. Validators before the merge had just been processing like validators coming offline, validators exiting. But and so anybody could exit their validator at any point, because the beacon chain launched in December of 2020. And so some people have been staking since then, but nobody has been able to actually withdraw their funds since then. So there are plenty of people who have exited, but the merge also did enable execution layer rewards. So like MEV and tips, those things now get distributed, and people can withdraw those things, but people can't actually withdraw their consensus layer stake and rewards. So this will basically complete that transition, which I'm really excited for, because I think that there are a lot of people who've been sitting on the sidelines thinking like, I'm not going to lock up 32 ETH. I'm not going to lock up 2, 3, 4 ETH, not knowing when I'm going to get this back.
Absolutely.
Because there's been no date for withdrawals. Ethereum in general doesn't set dates for anything. They just say it's going to be ready when it's ready. So it is about a month from being ready right now. They actually just announced a date for for withdrawals for the Shanghai fork. Shanghai is the name of the fork on the execution layer, and Capella is the name of the fork on the consensus layer. And so we're calling it Chapella. And so the Chapella fork happens in next month on, I want to say April 12th.
Yeah, I was thinking it was the 12th. I saw a tweet that who announced it? Tim Byko, I think that's how you say his name. I never remember how to say his last name properly.
I have asked him a million times in this form. I go, Tim, is it Bako? Biko? And he goes, yeah.
Nice.
So
but yeah, that's really exciting news. I've seen so much speculation on what withdrawals are going to curtail. I don't know if you want to dive into that unless you want to, but no, it's exciting things. It's like there's always more and more things that are happening in the staking world. The mainnet is just constantly evolving, constantly updating, and it's just making the infrastructure better for everyone involved. Like, I don't know how you couldn't be bullish, personally.
Yeah. In addition to people just being able to withdraw their stake, and that's exciting because people get their money back and people become liquid and people can stake, and immediately you can enter the activation queue, and then 2 days later decide I don't want to do this and immediately enter the exit queue. Like, there's going to be, your stake is going to be fully liquid after withdrawals are enabled. But in addition to that we have seen a lot of aggregation of stake towards one or two staking entities. For example, 30% of the stake right now is with Lido, and there's not much to be done with that, minus new people coming in, staking other places. And so we are hoping that there will be a reshuffling of stakes. So people who deposited with Lido and now think this isn't healthy for the beacon chain, I want to protect my investment because my investment is in ETH. And if the beacon chain is vulnerable, then my ETH is vulnerable. So I would rather put it somewhere where it's safer. So we're hoping to see that. Unfortunately, Lido did announce recently that they're not actually going to enable withdrawals until about a month after withdrawals on the mainnet are live. And that's because of some updates that they have to do. I wish that they had been ready before so that we could actually see that reshuffling in real time. But we will see it with, I think Rocket Pool will be ready as soon as mainnet goes live. Coinbase has said that they will have withdrawals ready within 24 hours of withdrawals being live on the mainnet. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens in, like, especially the 24 hours after, the week after, the month after. I expect to see things like kind of re-equilibrate. People might withdraw and staking rewards might go up temporarily, but I expect that since that APR is set by what the market thinks is fair, like the more people stake, the more the APR goes down. I expect that will level out and won't like fluctuate too crazily.
Cool. So there's definitely a lot coming with that, a lot of things to see and check out and keep our eyes on. I kind of want to shift back to some EthDenver things now. So this year, eStaker had an Airbnb once again, and cool place to go and hang out. I didn't show up this year. However, I'm sure plenty of people did. I just kind of want to hear about it. So how was that space?
Oh, it was so good. It was, we got an Airbnb that I think the limit was like 16 people. It fit 16 people. And the first thing that the first eStaker did when he got there was he went and got a keg of Bud Light
and just put like it in the big keg.
Yeah,
I think they did that last year too. Yeah.
I don't know why Bud Light. Like of all of these,
maybe that's what was available.
No, it's a choice. It is very much a choice.
Okay, well.
So yeah, he bought a bunch of beer. We brought a bunch of people over. Absolutely, everybody got COVID. It was great.
I got COVID.
I think.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I did too. Yeah.
It was
the first time.
Sharing the love.
Yeah, the
Sharing
Sunday
the disease.
The last Sunday that
Yeah.
we were there, we had already, one person in the house had already tested positive, so we just assumed that everybody else who was sick had COVID. I tested negative, but I had the same symptoms as everybody else, so I had COVID.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
It's
Yeah.
really weird.
Yeah.
But we, at some point, we were like trying to quarantine from each other for about 8 hours, and then like one more person got sick who had been quarantining, and we were like, nah, let's just assume that we all have COVID.
Yeah.
And so the last day we went to Red Rocks and took a hike out at Red Rocks. And it probably, in retrospect, it probably wasn't like the best for my illness, but it felt great.
Yeah, sure.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, yeah, you have a respiratory thing going on, and you're going
Yeah.
hiking. Woo!
Yeah.
That sounds like an awesome time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt sick afterwards. I mean, I felt just torn up. Because I think part of it too was that the venue is so large, and traversing it over and over was like, I don't do a whole lot of cardio. I'm ashamed,
Yeah.
but
In retrospect, this is because I had COVID, but I didn't know that I had COVID at the time. Every time I walked into the venue, I was just so tired that I like walked back to that hackerspace and found the beanbags, and I think I took like 8 naps on those beanbags.
yeah.
Oh man, I had went to the Zen Zone, and I was like, I'm gonna take a nap. And so Busadon and my fiance just like, well, we're gonna go back to the main venue and like get swag. And I'm like, that's totally cool. I'm gonna swag out on the beanbag.
Well, we had
Yeah.
snacked up too. I don't know. Did you make it? There we go.
Did I make what?
Did you make it to the Zen zone?
No, I didn't make it to the Zen zone. That was different from the chill zone, right?
I think so. I
Yeah,
don't know.
the
It
Zen
was
zone was
off
like,
by where ticketing was.
Yeah, it was like a totally different area.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know that there was a Zen zone while I was there. And I was complaining afterwards about the chill zone because the chill zone was playing loud techno music the whole time.
Oh yeah, no, it was different from that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about the DJ chill zone area?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't chill at all. So I wish I had known about the Zen zone.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, they had like
Coconut
free
also went there.
organic snacks. Like it was like fun. Like like just a table full of snacks and tea and all sorts of stuff.
You could do like yoga and get massages and all kinds of stuff in there.
It was pretty wild.
They even had like a bunch of puppies come in. Now, whenever we were in there, they didn't have the puppies, but they did have like a set time on like Saturday where they had a bunch of puppies come in and you could just like play with the puppies.
I wish I had been there. I would have spent
I know.
all day with those puppies.
I know, same.
Yeah.
But other than hanging out in the chill zone and having COVID in the venue, so what was your opinion of the venue there? Like whenever you first came in, what were your thoughts like?
So I have some positives and negatives. Positives, I love that there was a lot of interaction with everybody. You have to walk through all the booths. You end up seeing everybody. I think that I liked generally like the layout of the booths. I liked that there were places to sit near the booths. So you could go like hang out by the rocket pool booth and then you could like go sit on those little couches that were there. I did not like how the venue was not, it almost seems like there was no emphasis on the talks because you would go to the talks and they weren't noise protected from anything else. And so if you were sitting at the back of the talks, it was actually really hard to hear the speaker. And as somebody who was on a panel, it was really hard to hear the other panelists because the audio setup was so loud to overcome all of those other noises that there was like a little bit of reverb and it was hard to understand what people were saying. And I even the first time that I went and tried to find the Genesis stage, I walked downstairs because somebody said, oh yeah, it's downstairs. So I walked downstairs and there was like this area where a staff member was, and I asked her like, hey, do you know where the main stage is? And she was like, well, there's a stage over there, but I don't think that's the main stage. And so I was like, maybe she's wrong. So I walked over there and it was the main stage. So there was just no emphasis on talks. And I think that I feel like talks should be one of the most important things at a conference because people put a lot of effort into setting up their talks, and then it spurs conversation. And it's great to be able to interface with people. And if you have something that you already want to talk about with people, but having a talk and saying, hey, this is what I'm working on and I'm looking for feedback on it, or I'm looking for anybody to tell me that it's dumb or that it's good or that they want to work on it with me. I wish there had just been a little bit more focus on making those talks engageable.
Sure.
Right. Or even just the Wi-Fi working.
Oh, yeah, the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Are there ETH conferences?
We had a
Are there
comment
ETH
that the Wi-Fi was horrible. That's a fact. That was a fact.
Are there ETH conferences with decent Wi-Fi? Is that a thing? Because it also sucked at DevCon.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, slay them in the YouTube pointing that out. Yes, like we would have had this live if the internet had live at EthDenver if the internet would have worked. But hey, it's the second best thing. Just
it ended up working out because I was sitting there with you guys and you guys were having like technical difficulties and you were like, can we reschedule this? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then I got that text that said, hey, can you be on a panel? And I was like, okay, all right, when is it? And they were like, in half an hour. And I was like, okay, I'll be there.
I felt terrible. With no Wi-Fi, that was our basic setup. Like we figured we would have internet. So
yeah. And
we didn't bring enough batteries for the camera.
And like Slatham said, it was hard to meet up with people because I got a text from somebody who had to like leave last minute, and they had texted me and said, hey, like, can we meet up real quick? And I got the text 45 minutes later and they were already gone.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you feel about the food trucks this year? Did you participate in those?
I ate one meal from the food truck.
Same.
And
Nice.
he doxed me.
What?
I paid with my credit card because I didn't want to figure out the I don't use my Ether wallet. And so I was like, I'll just pay it with my credit card. I have to run real quick because I'm volunteering for Shelling Point. And so I handed him my credit card. And then when he finished with my food, he like stuck the food out the window and yelled my full name out the window. And I was like,
goodness.
Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah. I had told, I went to the chicken tender truck. And
there was a tendy truck?
Yeah, man.
Nice.
I had to get my tendies, bro. Anyway.
Yeah,
dude. I told him, oh, my name's Mojo. So he was like, Mr. Mojo. Yep. Right here. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. But yeah, no, I actually went through with the whole Biddlebucks thing that they had. And I will say, because the internet was poor, like I'm standing there, like, can this like just load so I can actually scan the thing? And like I had scanned it and it's loading, and the guy's like, are you gonna pay? I'm like, I'm trying, man. Like,
I'm working on it. Please. I'm working on it. I'm biddling over here.
I feel bad for the product truck guys because a lot of them were like, I don't know crypto stuff. Can you just pay? Which is why
that was the same as last year. Yeah.
Really?
They were. Yeah.
Though
like, it's kind of their sentiment was like, this is kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I still feel like that the way that they did it this year was better because last year it was like on a test net and you got like
True.
2 tokens and that token paid for the meal. Whereas this year it was like, oh, we'll just give you like these Biddlebucks on Arbitrum or something. And it was like, one Biddlebuck is $1 and just the trucks just charge $10 for a meal. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I thought it worked out better. Still a lot of setting up. Like it would have kind of been nice to be like, okay, put the Biddlebucks on my actual wallet. Instead I had to just open up this, wallet I'm never gonna use again. 1111111 for my passcode. I don't even know the seed phrase. Like
yeah, if they wanted it to be like a smooth experience, they should have had people load those things into their wallet before the conference. Like it shouldn't have been like, oh, well, you'll figure it out on the fly.
Yeah. For real. Because you're like most of the time you're traveling and you don't have your main computer, say, or like I had my phone in my my MacBook that I don't update that often. So
Yeah. I now have right before DevCon, I set up a totally different wallet on my phone that's not connected to any of my actual wallets, and I put like $200 in it just for conference stuff. And like,
Mhm.
why couldn't I use that to pay if they were if they were gonna
Right.
like enable crypto stuff?
yeah,
Right. Or just like let me pay in, USDC or DAI or ETH. Yeah, let me do that. I have to get these arbitrary biddle bucks in a wallet I'm never going to use again. So
Yeah, exactly. And I don't like installing a bunch of apps on my phone just to get perks. Like a lot of these
right.
a lot of places nowadays are like, "Oh, download our app." And I'm like, "I don't want to download your app because this is the only time I'll ever use it."
Right.
yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
How was
sure.
the experience of your talk? Were you nervous? Did it just come naturally, or?
I at the time that it happened, I was less nervous than I thought I would be. But before it happened, I remember I had no idea who was going to be on the talk. All I knew was that Christine Kim is going to be moderating it. And so they sent us an email a little bit before, and they were like, "Hey, meet at this part at this little place." And so I looked at the recipients on the email, and I was like, "Oh, cool! Alex Stokes is on this. Oh, cool! Langers from Rocket Pool is on this." And then some guy from Diva Labs that I wasn't familiar with. But I was walking up onto the stage, and Langer said something, and I remember turning to him, and I was like, "I don't even know why I'm here," because I felt like Alex Stokes is a big brain at the Ethereum Foundation who does a lot with withdrawal specs and MEV, and there are so many things that he understands that I would probably punt to him. And I did actually punt one question to him during the talk or during the panel, because I was like, "Yeah, here's the high level of that. And if you want something specific, you should probably ask that guy."
I mean, it's
Very
a
nice.
valid strategy. I have to do that all the time, I feel like. So, it's just I'm the arbiter of conversation, not the knowledge base, right? So
Yeah.
So
I
I
Yeah.
think we want
totally
to
get that.
sneak a POAP drop in here. I think we
Ooh,
have 2 for this particular broadcast, so we'll get that started. We'll
ooh, I'm
chat, and
excited for
when I
POAPs.
get these are cool too. Probably some of the best of all of our series that we're doing here. I shouldn't say that. They're all
I love
special.
you, no fun token art.
Yeah, let's take a
I
look at some chat.
yeah, we can't
Hello.
participate in this chat, can we?
Well, hold on. It's claim time.
Aha.
Give me my POAP. I want my POAP now. I know we're all taking a minute, like click, click, click. Gotta get my POAP.
I need to
Hold
get in
on.
there myself.
Oh no, it says I can't claim it because I'm not eligible. What? That makes no sense.
Well, maybe you weren't engaged enough in this.
How
right.
could I not be
That's right.
engaged enough?
Absolutely.
So
I think we
it
can
should.
always grab more links.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it says that I'm not eligible either because I was not watching on YouTube.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
yeah. I was trying to use the one that popped up in Twitch.
Well, for everyone out there, it's all good. And we'll get links for.
Looks like
people
Austin
that are on
actually
the
sent us
broadcaster.
a message being like, "Hey, you got to have permission to post to your YouTube." So looks like it'll get solved. But I guess in between trying to get our POAPs, we could take a look at some chat. Is there any questions from chat that people would like to ask? Nick's here while we're all hanging out trying to get our POAP.
Do you guys want to hear a fun story?
Yeah.
Oh, please. I love stories.
So yesterday the Arbitrum airdrop was announced.
Yes.
And I have never fallen for anything. Like I've never been phished. I've never been hacked in any way. Yesterday they got me.
Oh no.
So I was like kind of sleepy. I went on Twitter. I saw the airdrop announcement on Twitter, and it like came with like a very weird video that they had decided to make. And the link directly under it, also posted by Arbitrum, not actually their handle. I clicked on it, connected to a site, and my DAI got drained from my wallet. I had 5,000 DAI in my wallet, which is not a small amount. And I got an Etherscan alert that said, you just moved 5,000 DAI. And I was like, I could like hear my heartbeat in my ears. And I was like, what is going on? So I was freaking out, and I learned
what link did you click on so I don't click on it?
Don't click on any link that's
Yeah.
I wrote out a list on eFinance after this, and I was like things that I could have done to avoid this situation. And one of them was I absolutely should have looked at the handle that I clicked on the link from and made sure that the actual handle matched the account. Two, I shouldn't have connected anything to this website until I actually verified that that website matched something that was like on an official documentation that they had. So like somewhere in their Discord or on their documentation. Three, when I'm connecting to sites, I usually consider that a low risk thing to do, just connecting to a site, not making a transaction, not doing an approval. And so I clicked thinking that I was connecting to the site, and I refreshed it and clicked again. And it turns out DAI is a special kind of ERC20 that has a function built in called permit. And this function is meant to better the user experience of approval and transaction, because usually with ERC20s, you have to approve an amount and then you transact. But DAI has a function called permit that basically it's a signature based transaction, and you do an unlimited approval with just a signature, and that contract can then take any amount that they want from your wallet. And so the only thing that got hit was my DAI, and then right after that, they sent another transaction, another like MetaMask pop-up that said, "We want to approve your RPL," and I was like, "Oh crap!" I am on not a safe website, so I rejected that, and it kept popping up like "approve your RPL," and I was like, "Oh god!"
Dang.
And then I saw the Etherscan thing, and I was like, "Oh god!" So be careful. I've been in this space since forever, and that's the first time I ever got hit. But I should have known better. I was moving way too fast.
That's what I reinforce is never move too fast.
Yeah, for sure.
Goodness. That's not a fun story.
No,
No.
I saw that happen. I kind of like I wrote up a little debrief on it on eFinance, and then I went back to bed because I was like, this day sucks.
Oh
yeah.
Man.
I know for me, I was seeing people like, oh, be careful not to get phished. Click on the right link to look at the like your eligibility and stuff. And I was like, okay, it's this link, right? Like this is from the official Twitter. Like this is their announcement post. This is the link, right? Like I'm not taking crazy pills. I'm going to check my eligibility at this link, right? And I was having people say, no, that's a phishing link. And I'm like, it's like such contradictory everything. I'm like, how am I supposed to know which one it is when everybody is saying one thing or another? So
there's so many avenues for scamming.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's just
I
so
actually
convoluted.
I don't even know what you would call what happened to me, because it's not phishing, because I didn't give them anything. They basically sent a pop-up that said, "Can we have your DAI?" And I said, "Yeah."
It's like
Oof.
it's like permissions scammed or something. I don't even know. Yeah.
It's just simply being tricked.
Well, do you revoke your permissions to that website? I hope so.
Yeah. So the first thing I did is I went on revoke.cash, and I immediately started. That's the only permission. I usually keep a really good eye on revoke.cash to make sure I don't have any permissions open. But Yorick from eStaker told me afterwards that I should have the revoke.cash extension installed, which I installed this morning, because it will send you a pop-up. So I clicked that message thinking it said, do you want to connect to this website? Because that's usually what a signature when you first arrive at a website is. And revoke.cash will send you another pop-up that says, hey, wait, are you sure this transaction or this signature gives access to your DAI? And so I installed that, and I wish I had had it installed before.
Wow.
Well,
yeah.
You know, you paid the tuition.
Yeah, exactly.
I forget what the what is the. I have one and I can't remember. That brings up. It's like brings up a pop up before it goes to MetaMask, and it like
Nice.
kind of itemizes it like +1 NFT minus 0.05 ETH or whatever.
Yeah, let us know. Let me know what that extension is.
Yeah, if someone in chat has it, I could try a transaction right now, but but yeah, it's a nice one. We'll have a link to it.
Cool.
So it looks like we're having a little bit of issue with Rev. We're going to try a different distribution method on the next one, I guess. Some people are getting it, some people are not. So
yeah, let me see if I can do this again. Is it still saying I'm ineligible? It is. Oh no. Oh no. I mean, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, I feel like if Jesus de Valle did not get it, I feel like it's pretty legit because I see that guy everywhere.
Right.
He's a He's a pull-up monster.
Doing the secret word one, normally that's like the only way I really know how to use Rev is having it do secret words. I think we're trying to do like you put in a command and it should pop the link for you, something like that. So, I mean, it's interesting. We have our interview with him going to be a little bit later. I don't know if it'll be today, but he showed us a lot of really cool stuff. So, hey, a little future.
Yeah, we definitely got some
little
alpha
future
with
insight,
his platform, and some of the philosophy behind his idea of where distribution is going.
Oh,
so pretty cool.
Yeah. But okay, I actually have a question for you, Nick. So, like, what's next in the pipeline? Like, what are you currently working on? What are things that you're hoping to accomplish within the next, 3 weeks, 3 months?
So many things. eStaker is sort of like deciding on its direction. Right now, we will always primarily support solo stakers, but I don't know if you saw. There was a tweet that went out today from some guy who said that he was able to confirm with 90% certainty with some data that about 5% of the network are solo stakers.
Yeah, I saw that tweet.
Is really low. Is a bummer. So we definitely want to direct more resources to making sure that there is a higher percentage of the network who can solo stake, and that if that means especially now that withdrawals are going to be live and there are institutions who might not have been interested with an illiquid or with an illiquid investment, we hope to be able to talk to some institutions and be like, look, you can do it with bare metal. Like, you can do it yourself. You don't have to delegate your ETH to some custodial service. There are lots of good options. And so I guess just developing growing with the network. The network is growing. Withdrawals are live. There will be different groups of people staking, and we want to support those groups of people staking and making sure that they do it in the way that's healthiest for their own investment and for the network.
Excellent. So, like, what is considered a solo staker? Is that like the full 32 bond, or can you still run like a mini pool and it's considered solo staking?
Yeah, I guess that's up for debate.
Semantics.
Semantics. I would say a solo staker is somebody who has the full 32 ETH and is running it with no layer, smart contract layer between you and the beacon chain. Rocket Pool, technically, there's a smart contract layer between you and the beacon chain. So yeah, I would consider it anybody who's in direct access or direct contact with the beacon chain with no layer between them.
Okay, so only 5%. That's
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, when you really think about it, a lot of the validators right now are from like Alado, where people gave them their ETH to lock up, and then they just took it to stake with. I mean, you gave that number earlier. It was like 30%, right?
Yeah, it's understandable because when staking launched, like when staking very first launched, APR was at like 18-20%. It was really high, with the understanding that it wouldn't remain that high. And so people were like, I want to get in right the hell now. And so as the urgency for this goes down, I hope that people will shuffle into ways that are better thought out.
I want to talk about a topic that we're kind of on right now, which is I guess the U.S. and SEC and whoever's coming down. Like staking is being squashed out, right? I mean,
So there are conversations about whether or not staking is a security because especially if you stake with a service, you're giving your funds to somebody else, and some people will argue that that is expecting that doesn't pass the Howey test, or does pass the Howey test, but that it makes it a security. The Howey test is what determines what's a security in the U.S.
Okay.
And one of the criteria of that is your investment based on the efforts of others. And so some people will argue if you deposit into a staking service that you're relying on the efforts of others. But it's not exactly applicable, because the efforts of others is like if you were depositing to Ethereum developers and the success of the Ethereum network was what you were like depending on your investment growing with. So there is a really cool initiative that I only learned about a couple of days ago. It's called the Proof of Stake Alliance. And they are an organization that is, I think they're a nonprofit, and they are fighting for staking to not be regulated in a way that just squashes it into Web 2 structures, and basically just doesn't understand exactly what staking is. And so they're trying to educate our lawmakers on exactly what staking is, and kind of build legal structures for it that actually make sense for staking. And that seems so far promising, because they published 2 white papers written, I want to say by lawyers, that say like exactly why it should not be considered security, exactly why it should be a protected activity. And it looks promising.
That's great.
But I don't expect staking will long term have an issue legally. Like maybe some of like the protocols that are offering DeFi strategies on top of their liquid staking token, that might be a little bit weird. Like if they say like, oh, we're going to give you a liquid staking token that's going to increase in price because of staking and some DeFi strategies that we're doing, that is the effort of others, because they're not just putting it into the protocol, they're like investing it, and that is very much their effort.
Yeah. Dang. Good insight.
Awesome to hear that they're not trying to like, or like there's people fighting to like make sure that it's going to go good. Because normally whenever I see like FUD on staking, it is like US regulation coming in and like destroying it or whatever FUD people throw.
Yeah, there's also a guy who runs the SEC who just keeps saying like, he keeps saying things like, oh, ETH is a security, or like proof of stake tokens are a security. But the thing is, he can't just decide that unilaterally. That has to go through legal systems. And so for him to say that is actually incredibly irresponsible. And I feel like he's being a 2023 politician instead of a real politician, which is, I'm just going to be as controversial as possible. And
that's fine.
Right. Yeah, no, that I mean,
hey,
politically, that works really well. Just trying to be angry
ears.
at everything. So
Yeah, it's kind of confusion, and I think the the media at large doesn't really help at all, and definitely
Oh yeah.
disseminates FUD all day.
Yeah, this nonsense with Silicon Valley Bank has been conflated with crypto so much right now.
Hmm.
Elizabeth Warren just
Yeah.
posted a tweet where she said banks got bailed out, and the number that went towards these banks could have solved, and then she like named a bunch of different things, including student loan forgiveness, which I'm all for student loan
Yeah, no
forgiveness,
doubt.
but these things are not equivalent. And like it was not a bailout, it was insurance being covering what the insurance was supposed to cover. It was not the treasury coming in and being like, okay, I guess we'll like throw money at this.
Yeah, from what I understand, FDIC collects money from banks to insure banks, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's where the money came from. It didn't come out of taxpayers' pockets. So
Exactly.
But I think
Yeah.
there were probably people that got hit a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean the point there is like the media loves to take whatever is going to make people angry, throw it in there,
Right.
and like people start to conflate these things because they're like, oh, I heard that now I'm paying taxes to bail out crypto, and it's like, well, that's not how crypto works.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we have? Do we have another POAB drop soon? We are getting
Am
upon
I able to
an
get the
hour
first
here.
collab drop now?
Are you?
Goodness.
Maybe
I don't know. I think I'm gonna need to
we're still getting this
scour.
set up on the second one here. I think
Maybe the scour. It could very well be because I don't have this particular YouTube account connected to Rev,
To
so that
Rev,
could be
yeah.
my problem. So maybe I should switch to the
Could
one
be.
I do have it connected to. Of course, hit like on YouTube.
yeah, do that. And if you've never been to twitch.tv/Poapathon, give that a like too. Hey,
Give that a follow. Yes, indeed. Gotta
give it a
pump the
follow.
socials, you know what I'm saying. But no, I'm glad for everybody that is in attendance today. I would actually like to see if whoever's watching, if you have any questions for Nix, maybe this would be a good time to do
This
that.
is a great time for that.
Yeah, so whatever you would like to ask, let's see it, everyone. I'm curious of what people would like to pick your mind about.
You could even ask me really specific questions. Ask me.
What's your credit card number? No, I'm kidding.
What's the name on your credit card?
What's your mother's maiden name? What was the name of the elementary school
what
you
was your
attended?
previous address?
What was the name of your first pet? Yeah.
Antarctica. That was my previous address.
Really? No
Go-
way. Oh.
No. Go $5 wrench me there.
Yeah. All right. So we do have the drop active, I believe. Let's see if
Should I
people
try to
are
click on it?
getting response here.
I'm just going to like both. Like
I
I'm on
realized I
YouTube,
was
pulling up the
on.
Twitch.
I was watching the YouTube on the other monitor, on the Poapathon account. So it's like, oh, no wonder I'm not eligible.
Oh, I see. It's hard in tech in general. Like I have screens. Right now I have like a mobile setup, but
Right.
I have different browsers for different wallets.
Hey.
Everything is so separate. I find that the people who have the most technical problems in general are the most tech savvy people because they have like everything very specific to the way that they operate.
Nailed it. Yeah. And you're trying to create a system typically, right? That does what you want it to do. But then when one piece is missing or broken or faulty, or you just throw your hands up. I mean, it's very similar to what happened to us at Denver, where it's like you plan for this scenario and then there's no internet and you have to
the most basic thing that you assumed would be available.
Exactly.
I don't know how you go to a tech
Literally,
conference
like
and you don't have the thing that is like the most prevalent technology that's being
Right.
used, which is just basic internet access.
It's like going to a big concert and there's just
there's no
water.
speakers. Yeah.
or no speakers. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a custom operating system on my phone, and it's meant to like kind of sandbox Google, so that
Nice.
Google can't access the information from the other apps on my phone. And I don't know anyone who has as many problems as I do with compatibility with things, because people are always sending me things and they're like, "Oh, download this," and I'm like, "I can't. It's got Google, and my phone won't let me do that."
So no Google Docs?
So it'll let me do things, but Google Docs won't talk to another app. For example, the thing that it mostly breaks, for example, is if I want to buy the premium version of an app. Usually apps go through Google Play services to be able to route you to like a payment system. And so I'll click like buy premium, and it'll be like something went wrong because it can't talk to Google. Yeah. I mean, it's good because it's good for my privacy, and it ends up being something that's almost unhackable because it's such a different setup than everybody else has, and like hackers are very much tailoring what they do to the most
common
setups. Yeah. But it is a pain.
I could only imagine. And then you put like wallets and Web3 and all that stuff, and it's like just layers upon layers of complication and potential issue, right? And you have to like, that's one thing you learn, I guess, is someone you're into tech, someone who is, you have to learn to troubleshoot. Like that's the most important skill. Like, I think it down.
Yeah, I think that the thing that somebody did, the most beneficial thing that anybody ever did for me was in high school. My dad got me a new computer, and I had like my sister's old MacBook. And so when I got a new computer, I was so hoping that it was going to be an Apple computer. And my dad was like, "You think we can afford a new Apple computer for you? Are you insane?" So he got me a little notebook and put Linux on it. And I ended up spending my senior year and my freshman and sophomore year of college, like always debugging stuff, always trying to make things work. And I remember in a lab one time, somebody was like, leaned over my computer and was like, "Oh, you're hacking right now." And I was like, "I'm literally not. I'm copying and pasting things into command line because I can't get my computer to work."
Well, and like back in the day too, like even drivers, it was hard to find Linux drivers for hardware.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you're like always, and that was the best thing that anybody, that is hands down the thing that did the most for my tech savviness.
Yeah. I remember the first Packard Bell computer. I spent all summer, working to buy it. It was super nice, right? $2,200 machine back in 2016 or 1996. But my CD-ROM broke, or it got like misaligned the gears. So I like took it apart and like just actually removed the gear that was kind of like messing it up, and it still worked. And I was like, yes. And that was like my intro into building computers.
I can fix things. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I can open this thing up. I'm no longer scared.
I have a funny story that's kind of similar. Whenever I was like, this is like 3rd or 4th grade, like we had computer class in elementary school, and they were showing us like, here's how you open up a computer, and these are all the parts in there. I kid you not, I stole the RAM from the computer I was working on and took it home and installed it in my own computer at home.
And it worked.
That's hilarious.
And it was an upgrade to what we had. Yes,
you rascal.
I just straight stole it. I didn't care. I was like, it's mine now. Like they ain't gonna miss it.
My first computer that I actually interacted with was because I found a desktop in the garage, and I didn't think that I was supposed to be using it. So I like sneakily like plugged it in the garage and started messing with it. And it was my dad's old computer from like, I want to say the late 80s or early 90s. And it had MS-DOS 3.2 on it.
Okay.
And so it was fully command line. And all I would do is I would start text documents, and I would like write little stories on it. And then I would, and then like, that's all I did with it. But that's also like how I think that's why later in my life I was comfortable trying to figure out command line, because it was just like that thing that I was using when I was 8 in the garage.
Oh yeah, you knew probably like a dozen commands. Like I'm used to like I guess like Linux commands, but like change directory. Just navigate through the file tree and like.
Honestly, I didn't even know any commands. All I knew was help. And I was like, okay, that'll tell me what to do.
I mean, Superfist tried to indoctrinate me and my brother really early. I mean, we were like middle schoolers, and he dumped off like just a bunch of computer parts at our doorstep one day. So like we had to build the computer, and then he gave us like the Linux Ubuntu disk to install as our operating system. And he really tried to, like I said, indoctrinate us early. Like he gave us like a whole bunch of CDs on like, here's how you program in C++ and all this other stuff.
Very cool.
So that's kind of like the only time I was really diving into like command line and like building computers and stuff like that. So didn't really rub off on me. I was more like I want to learn how to use these programs really well. And my brother was more like, I want to learn how to build these computers really well. So
No Fun Token Art said this story makes Superfist sound like an ETH predator.
An ETH predator.
He was like trying to get you.
Yes. Well, I mean, this is before ETH even existed. He just wanted us to be part of computing and like learning how to do this stuff.
Commodore 64. When is this person from?
I think I could mess with an Apple II at one point, but that was way after the fact.
Watch that TV show *Halt and Catch Fire*.
Love that.
It is so
good. Love that show. I've actually watched it through twice.
Nice. I think I'm due for a rewatch. That show made me feel even more stoked about crypto because the startup culture that happened in that show.
The hair on my arms is sticking up. Sorry to interrupt. I love that show, and I've got a couple more examples of exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it like mirrored it. It mirrored it, and that actually it was confirmed. I went to a wedding last year where I had an older family member who like is husband of a family member. My aunt did a drive-by and was like, ask her about crypto. And I was like, oh God, this like older dude's not going to care about crypto. And he goes, do you work in crypto? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you are so lucky to be the age that you are right now. If I were a younger man and I wasn't so tired, I would get in there, because he started talking about how he was like the COO and CFO in startups in the 80s. And he was like, it feels just like that. And you're at like a pivot point. And he was like talking about how jealous he was that he's not involved in it right now. And I was like,
I think he's exactly right. I mean, right? I consider it the Wild West, a lot. Like,
that's exactly, it feels like the Wild West for sure.
And that's really like having lived through the 90s and being into computing then, and then moving into like, what is the old word? A webmaster position, back then, where like, you kind of just did everything. You tooled the website. And it was very unknown. Older folks, still weren't using email, or SMSs were done on a T9.
My brother told me a story yesterday about it came from a book that he read, and it was Alcoa Aluminum Company, and they implemented email in the late 80s, and everybody was like, ugh. Because it was such a pain to navigate. But they said that they started implementing it for like safety measures, to talk about safety stuff. But then their executives started using it to talk about prices. And all of a sudden they were able to relay prices a lot faster than their competitors. And they actually used it as a competitive advantage for a few years that gave them a leg up, that like reverberated for the next couple of decades because they were able to work on prices so much faster and like arbitrage those prices.
Mhm. I definitely talk about this a lot, but I think it's interesting, like kind of coming off of the Wild West comment. Like, I think after a while, this is all going to be behind the scenes, like blockchain
Yeah,
technology. And people,
that's
it's going to be abstracted away.
that's how I relay it to people who ask. I relate it to email in the 90s because I'm like, the way that crypto is operating right now, user experience is terrible. You have to really understand what's under the hood. And if you had told somebody in the 90s, like, oh, email is so cool, it's a peer-to-peer like way of talking to each other, and this is how it works, they'd be like, but how do I use it? Like, I don't care
what do
how
I
it
do
works.
with it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't care how it works. I don't want to be the person who sets it up. I want it already on my computer, and I want just a little window that says, who do you want to send to? What do you want to type?
Right. I think JT gave a really good example of something like this where you know how nowadays you go on like an Amazon or Walmart.com and you can just click, add to my cart and you pay for it. Well, like we don't ever think about the infrastructure behind that where it's like there's a payment processor going on and somebody built a website and they posted the item on there and there's somebody that's shipping that to you,
And
like we don't really think about all of that like interfacing. And like crypto is kind of trying to figure out, okay, well, how can we like have the same thing, but you're using this blockchain technology instead of, like a Visa payment processor instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
while we're
the
here,
15 APIs behind the scenes for Walmart.com as well. Like people don't realize that's happening either.
while we're here, Beastodon,
Yep.
what's your Twitter? Your Twitter is Beastodon, right?
It
Do I
is.
follow you? I'm gonna go
I
find
don't
you on
know.
Twitter. Nope, I don't follow you. Great. Now I do.
All right. Welcome. Welcome to my followage.
Your followage.
So-
I love it.
So I think we're close to wrapping up. I think the last pull-up delivery went through, kind of. We'll work on that for our next episode. But you like the inflection in my voice? Cool. Any last words? Any
last words?
Yeah.
Do I get a last meal?
Yes. This is the Last Supper.
Do you have the
no.
Biddlebucks?
But like, what do you want to leave off with?
Just that we really want more people involved in staking, and we want to make user experience better. And so the more breadth there is to the staking community in terms of geography, like any kind of diversity that you can think of, that it adds to the value of the community to be in there, to be asking questions, especially like the dumb questions. Go in there and ask questions, because
Sure.
that's going to create resources for people in the future who come and also want to know what those things are. So just get involved in staking. And I really think that staking right now is going to be the thing that most effectively creates passive income in the future. Of all the degen stuff that you could be doing, most of it is net zero. And staking is not a net zero. Staking is a positive sum game. So if you want, I'm there because it's low risk. I'm there because it creates long-term wealth. And that's where I want to be. I want to be somewhere that's low risk, that I feel good about, that supports good outcomes. So, get involved in staking.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's beautifully said.
Yeah, Mr. Mojo, anything else from you, or?
No, nothing from me other than thank you so much, Nix, for coming on, talking to us about whether it be, what eStaker's doing, talking about staking in general on the Beacon chain, talking about, your experiences at the EthDenver conference, and even just, talking to us about whatever came to mind. It was always a pleasure.
Yeah, no
Thank you
thanks.
guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thanks
guys
so
so much
much.
for having me.
Yeah, we're gonna have to grab you again at some point for some updates, and hopefully we can grab Superfizz as well and have
Yeah.
a jolly discussion.
If anybody is watching this wants like more access to information on staking, go follow eStaker on Twitter, because we try to post a lot about exactly what's happening, and it's a good way to stay informed.
That sounds awesome. Okay, well, with that, I think we'll conclude. Thanks everybody for showing up today. Thanks for all the people participating in comments and whatnot. Really appreciate that. And we will catch you on the next episode.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Cheers.